Alright, wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Y2K 19.08.13. I'm sorry, but I can't do what I did in Y2K 16, when I was able to separate out Trump voters between those who voted for him despite his racism and those who voted for him because they liked it. I referred to those who voted for Trump despite him as buyer's remorse voters. Buyer's remorse Trump voters, whom I hope will support anything but Nazi Trump this time out. And if they are conservatives, they should support true Republican William Weld for president, who is a traditional Republican and a real bona fide conservative. I haven't donated any money to campaigns yet, but plan to include Weld in one of my donations, only because I want to repair the two-party system that the teabagger Trumpist Nazis have been destroying. I assure all of you I am not a conservative. We only have two parties. Two. We have to value both of them, but of course support the one we agree with. How then should I consider those who voted for Nazi Trump because of his racism, because he's a sleazeball? How should I consider those who support this evil fiend and Trump? I watched former FBI agent Frank Figliuzzi comment on this problem as he was interviewed last night on MSNBC. He said that many of these Trump supporters do not consider Trump a racist. That in fact, they get insulted if they too are lumped into the racist category. Agent Figliuzzi warned that if we use this kind of language, like accusing these new Trumpist supporters as being racist, these recalcitrant Trump supporters will dig in even deeper. He noted that we must go after the leaders of the Trumpist party and try to avoid attacking their voting followers personally. On the other hand, this is all Trump supporters do to those who disagree with them. They attack them personally. Furthermore, by avoiding forcing Trump supporters to take responsibility for their support of a hate monger, are we not also normalizing this behavior? I have a list of questions for the die-hard Trump supporters and something for them to consider. Hitler was popular too, and I contend that these supporters helped destroy Europe because evil only exists and flourishes in places of indifference. Indifference to evil. Nazi Donald Johnny Trump was placed into our lives with the help of totalitarians. For the many years that I've personally been aware of him, the only thing I can say besides he is a racist is that Trump was always and will be a malignant sleazeball. I've lived in New York, folks, since 1974, June of 1974, and I became aware of this Nazi Trump in the late 70s and the 80s. He's always been a sleazebag, always a racist sleazebag. And the only reason we have him now is that not enough of us were engaged to vote, so that the creep was able to take the Electoral College. See, that's the thing that weighs in the favor of the evil, the rich, the bastards. That Electoral College, that slave-owning Electoral College. This time out, if most of us decide not to vote again, 60 million Nazi Trump supporters will vote in a block, with the hope that the Electoral College will once again flush Trump into our lives from out their sewer. Ladies and gentlemen, This next election, Trump must not only be defeated, he must be crushed. In the meantime, what am I to do with the contemporary Trump supporter? The one who will vote for him Y2K20? Well, I can state my case to them as calmly and as respectfully as I can, with the realization that no matter what, you can never argue with a fundamentalist extremist about anything. No matter what, Trump supporters will find a way to despise you, and will find a way to elbow you in the back of the head, or find a way to shove and push you during one of their hate rallies. They may even find a way to procure a firearm and shoot as many of their perceived enemies that they can. I believe that these followers of a Nazi bully perceive kindness as weakness. And the only thing that they really understand is that punch in the face that their leader is so proud of evoking. This, of course, will result in that cold civil war I keep telling you about becoming hot. And Putin wants this hot civil war in our country with all his evil being. I, for one, will not shrink from telling these Trump people exactly what they are, or from asking the pointed questions. 1, do you support Trump racism? 2, can you really show that Trump is not racist? I could give many examples that he is, whether you like it or not. 3, do you admire dictators and authoritarians around the world? 4, do you believe in a kangaroo right-wing judiciary, especially on the Supreme Court? 5, do you support locking children up in cages and separating them from their parents in our Trump concentration detention camps, Bo teach? 6, did you support the massive ICE raid the same day that victims of mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton were allegedly being comforted? 7, do you believe that it is time to destroy the planet along with the Endangered Species Act? 8, do you believe in tax breaks for the wealthy? 9, was Jeffrey Epstein a great man? Would you be friends with him? Would you associate with him? 10, do you support draconian abortion laws that deny a woman the right to choose? 11, do you support the idea that there are good Nazis too? 12, should people who disagree with Nazi Trump go back where they came from? 13, should we only accept immigrants who arrive with their own private health insurance? 14, are tariffs good for consumers? 15, are you afraid to use the expression white supremacist domestic terrorism? Who's next? Who is next? 16, is our free press the enemy of the people? And is it okay with you that journalists get murdered by dictators? 17, is it okay by you that we have a good economy under a dictator? And part of that good economy is from the Obama administration policies. 18, was President Obama born in another country? 19, should we not respect the work of scientists? They're transferring them all over this country from, well, I should say, to Kansas from Washington. Should we run our government like a banana republic? Number 20. 21, should our internet have no net neutrality? Remember, they eliminated net neutrality. 22, should there be no regulations on polluters? Let our children drink poison. Let them breathe in lead, mercury, garbage. 23, Should a rapist, a Nazi, a traitor, a liar, a thief, and a mobster be allowed to be president of our country to run it into ruin? 24. Do you deny our constitutional rule of law? Just ask your friendly neighborhood Trump supporter if he agrees with Nazi Trump on all or most of those questions. Try and see if you can make them understand that the kind of country Trump and his teabaggers want is not the kind of country that our founders envisioned. And by the way, they weren't perfect either. Slave owners all. And not the kind of country that most of us were born into and grew up in. Just see how far you can get convincing the mob how little Trump really cares. I thought we learned our lessons from the Hitlers. But apparently, and considering all the threats of authoritarianism around our globe today, like a fad, I mean, I support those protests in Hong Kong. Authoritarian dictatorship China wants to take over democratic Hong Kong, and Trump, Nazi Trump, doesn't give a damn. His supporters probably don't either, right? Let's have more authoritarians and less democracy. Ask the Trump supporter how he feels or she feels about gun control. How many more must die under the Trump rule? Ask them about voting. Ask them about voting rights. Ask about protecting our vote from our Russian enemies. See what they answer on that. Most of them have learned little or nothing, and learned little or nothing about the mob mentality that embraces the mobster mentality. I refuse and will not normalize Nazism, Trumpism, Putinism. If the Trumpists don't like this, the common everyday Trumpist who now supports this creep, if they don't like this, they simply must stop walking and quacking like Don the Daffy Nazi Duck. We are in a cold civil war right now. Wake up! We are in a cold civil war. We have a cancer in this country and do little to cure it when we deny that we are sick.